This is Catherine Cespedes, and you are listening to Yogini from the Block, where we talk about taking spiritual practices and spiritual principles off of the yoga mat and into our real lives. You can listen to this bi-weekly podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, and anywhere that you catch your podcasts. Hello, and welcome to episode 21 of Yogini from the Block. This episode is titled, Letting the Light In When Forgiveness Seems Impossible. I am here with my wonderful producer, John Beethan.
Good generic time of the day, everyone out there.
And today, I wanted to talk about something that pertained to the holiday seasons. And on my social media, Instagram, Facebook, I am talking about how to create an intentional holiday season, tips and tricks. So one of the things that we're working on, especially this week, is intentions. And my intention for practitioner studies, which is a course that I'm taking to become a licensed practitioner, what we had to do in the very beginning is create an intention for what we were looking for out of this course, and we had to revisit it now that we're in week 11.
Week 11. How many total weeks?
30.
Wow. Yeah.
So
when did we figure it was episode 72 when you would graduate as a practitioner or something?
I don't know. I think I'm going to be like 38. No, I'm just playing. I don't know. I think in a year and a half. A year and a half, because I'm in year one. I'll be done next May. Mm-hmm. Wow. Holy moly. 2020. So something that came up for me, just focusing on intention, was something came up in regards to something in my past, and I realized that there wasn't full forgiveness there. I mean, there is forgiveness that I worked on. This is a family member, and just not to put their lives on blast, I'm not going to mention who it is, but the thing is that I feel like...
Yeah, they actually know who they are, don't they?
Yeah, you know who you are. And the thing is that, and I just want to say this, the thing is that you can be the most beautiful, the most wholesome, the most pure individual, and you will still be someone's villain. So this is not to say that this human being is a horrible person. This is not to say any of that. I just wanted to put that out there. Despite what may have or may have not occurred in my life, I just want to put that out there. So, forgiveness. I started looking at this because I really didn't want to forgive. I really didn't want to. And I know that forgiveness frees you. And I know that forgiveness feels so good and so light and so good. So why could I not forgive this person? Like, thinking about it just made me angry. Thinking about it just made me actually go back into the past and replay all those moments that angered me so much. And what I know about forgiveness, or what I know about resentment and anger, is that it's like holding hot coal in your hand, right? You've heard the old proverb, anger or hatred is like holding a hot coal in your hand. You're really burning yourself, not the other person, right? That's exactly what happens. And so, knowing all of this and having all the tools in my little spiritual kit, it wasn't happening. I just wasn't forgiving. I just didn't want to. And so I figured, you know what? This is a perfect space to shine my light. How am I going to do it here? How? I put on all the essential oils possible in my life. Everything that I had. I surrounded myself with crystals. I did meditation. And it's not to say that these things don't work. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there was still a fundamental piece that I was not letting go of. That no matter how many tools I pulled out of my spiritual kit, it just was not going away. And what we know about metaphysics in manifestation is that whatever you focus on grows. And so I'm really trying to forgive this person. And so the more that I'm trying to forgive them, the more angry I get. And I realize that this anger isn't necessarily directed at this human being. It's also directed to myself.
I was going to say it's directed at you. It hurts you more than them, probably.
Yes.
Unless they take things extremely personally, which many people do. That's another podcast.
That's another podcast. And also, if the other person doesn't know that you're angry, then who is it hurting? Right? I remember when I was in high school, I was really upset at my friend And it was over something silly. It wasn't high school, actually. It was middle school. And what did she do? I have no idea. She probably like took my last piece of bubble gum. It was really something insignificant.
Like your last piece of bubble gum.
Yeah, that's how insignificant it was. Yeah. I don't really know what it was, but it was something little like that. And then she didn't come to school the next day. And I was like, oh, she's really not coming to school, so she won't see how upset I am, because I'm waiting for her to come to school so that I can ignore her, right? And she didn't come to school the next week. And then I realized that she wasn't going to be coming back to school because she had cancer, and I didn't know, and she passed.
Oh my gosh.
And I share this because this whole time I was angry at her, and when I went to her funeral, I had to let it go. Like, there was nothing to work on because she didn't even know that I was mad at her. She had no idea. And at first I was very sad and very angry at myself once again, because I was like, how could I be so upset? How could I be so angry? And then I remembered she didn't even know. She left this world thinking that we were still good. And she was still my friend. She had no idea that I was going to ignore her. She had no idea. And through that, I actually got closer to her family, to her brother, and we shared this relationship because of her. This love and this light and this joy because of her. So I didn't lose her. I just gained her in another way. And then I learned very quick, very young, very early that people don't always know that you're angry with them. People don't always know that. And sometimes that's a good thing. And sometimes it hurts you more. A lot of the times, mostly, it hurts you more. So now with this individual that I am working on forgiveness, I realize that this is where my work is. This is where my spiritual work is right now and right here. So I did a little work on this so that I can further explain it in a more elaborate way, so that I'm not just having like a therapy session with you guys here. And I wanted to use it as an example, because although now I see it in a completely different lens and a completely different perspective, I still went to someone. I still went to many people, mostly people that are on the spiritual path, so that they could, because I know all these things, and I know how to, like, if it were someone else, I'd be like, hey, what about this? And, open-ended questions, and you're wonderful, and forgiveness is there, and I know that, and prayer is there, and I know that. And still, this little kid, because this is the part of me that's angry, right? This little kid was like, no, I don't want to let it go, because if I forgive you, I'm telling you that it's okay. If I forgive you, I'm telling you that it's all right what you did, whatever the case may be, right? And so I looked at the definition of forgiveness. So forgiveness is to grant pardon for remission of an offense, a debt, etc., right? And I was like, I know that. But then I realized that forgiveness means different things to different people at different times. And before I talk about what I did, I really wanted to incite some forward thinking on your part. What does forgiveness mean to you? How do you forgive? What does it look like when you forgive? Because I'm sure that we've all forgiven at some point or another. And for this part of my life, I've actually forgiven many, many different times. It's like an onion. Like every time I'm like, I'm good, something else happens, and I'm like, oh, I am not good. And that's okay. That's okay, because I have grown. I have grown tremendously, as we all do. We grow, and then we see it again from another perspective, from a higher consciousness, and we unpeel it and fold it back to another level. And then we forgive, and then we go to another level, and then we forgive, until the point where we have evolved so far that there's nothing left. You've peeled it back so far back that there's nothing left there. And this is a process. I encourage you to have a lot of love and patience. This is where you let the light in with yourself, because we are all different, and for all of us, there's different degrees in which a person may have offended us in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes it's only one layer, and you're like, poof, I'm done. And when they come to ask for forgiveness, you're like, what? are you talking about? You've already been forgiven. That's good. And there's other times where there's still work to do, and that's okay. Both scenarios are great. So, what are we focusing on in that forgiveness? Because notice, when we are really upset with someone, we'll replay that one moment that really like ticked us off. That one moment. Again, it could be something as small as bubblegum, or it could be something as big as you put your thing in there. It could be really big. It's big is different for all. It's different for all of us. You know, we all have different perspectives, and we've lived and experienced different lives. So what I did, and this is what honestly shifted my perspective on forgiveness, on love, on light, on all of that, was that I started looking at what I was grateful for. I know, that's weird, right? I started looking at why I'm so grateful for this person. And I found more things that I'm grateful for than the things that I was angry about. And that's what forgiveness looks like to me. Right now, in this level, in this space in my life, that's what forgiveness looks like for me. Because for me, the offense is huge, right? And still it's okay. Because my forgiveness looks like I'm going to focus more on the things that I'm grateful for, the light that came out of this wound, the human being that emerged from this experience, the woman that has become through that experience, as opposed to if this wouldn't have happened, then that. Right? So this is what forgiveness has looked like for me. So much so that I see it as gratitude.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of gratitude to be had in all that.
Yeah, there is. And again, this is not to say what you did was okay. This is to say that you did this, but I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for so many things. And one of the things that really helped was that yesterday I had class 11 with my practitioner studies cohort. And there was every day before we begin, we start with a meditation. And this meditation was powerful. This is Denise Rudy. My goodness, she doesn't even know that she helped me so much, because I was in so much pain and I was hurting so much. And this is the first time I've ever done this. So I invite you to do a quick meditation. If you are driving, I suggest that you pause here and come back to it when you are not driving. And if you are handling heavy machinery, I suggest that you don't listen to podcasts when you're handling heavy machinery. And you also pause this and you come back to this. So wherever you are, I encourage you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And let it all go. And I encourage you to go into that space, to remember what it felt like to be a child playing, enjoying, having fun. What toys are you playing with? Are you dancing? Is there music playing? Are there other people there? And I encourage you to invite your guidance, your light, whatever that may look like for you, to come forward. And still, you're playing, you're having fun, you're enjoying. And now you're playing with either this guardian, this light, this guidance that follows you, that is with you at all times, in all places. And if there is someone in your life which you feel like you want to forgive, I encourage you to bring their inner child, their child, to come forth. And now you are playing with this child, this little kid. What are you doing? What music is playing? And now I invite you to create a beautiful sphere around you of love, of light, of joy. of laughter. Surround yourself with it. Surround your light, your guidance, and surround that inner child. It's a little kid, an innocent child. And I invite you to float away into the space to continue playing in this sphere, in this bubble of love and light. I welcome you back into your bodies now that you've floated away in this bubble of playfulness and joy. Open up your eyes and welcome to this new space. This has changed my life completely because I recognize the inner child, the playfulness, the innocence that still lives and dwells within that human being. And though forgiveness doesn't mean that I'm going to call them every single day and write them pen pal letters, it does mean that I'm not going to hold on to that anger towards myself or towards that other person. And these are just small tools and tips that you can use. I encourage you to find a center of for spiritual living, or a center or a church or any space that will welcome you and love you. You'll be called to it. It'll be yelling your name. And when you walk in through the doors, you're going to say, I'm home. Whatever that place looks like to you. And I encourage you to surround yourself with people that support you and encourage you during this time of forgiveness, because it's going to be ongoing for the rest of your life. And that's okay. I know it's going on mine. And every year, and every month and every week, there's a different perspective on what this forgiveness game looks like and how to let that light shine in. Because it doesn't always mean I forgive you and all is good, let's be best friends. But it does mean I'm good and I am grateful. Because what we focus on grows. So I am knowing that in this space, in this time, you are having a wonderful, wonderful day. Knowing that this holiday season brings the joy and the peace that you are. You are the light and the joy of this world. And I am so grateful to have you listening here to me. I am so grateful that you are a part in my world, whether I know you or I haven't just met you yet. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the space. And so it is.